I escaped the cycle of self-sabotage when I realized that self-sabotage wasn't a real thing. It's just actually a collection of two things, which is doing the behaviors that you know harm you and not doing the behaviors that you know help you. That's all it is. People will make this complicated and say, I need to find my purpose, I need to fix my trauma, I need to do shadow work, identity shift, fight my demons, and then I will stop self-sabotaging myself. But it's not that deep. The thing is, self-sabotage is a vague term. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and people don't even define what this means for themselves. If you just look at it as a behavior, then you realize that changing a behavior is simple. Not necessarily easy, but it is simple. So let's not give these bad behaviors fangs so that they don't even have to begin with. So let's go to insight number 1, which is the canary habits. We all know what canary in the coal mine means. They used to take these birds deep into the mines to detect carbon monoxide. If these toxic gases start to fill up the room, fill up the chamber, then the first thing would happen is that the bird stops chirping. And if the miners heard, okay, the bird stopped chirping, they need to get out of there as fast as possible because something's gonna happen, something bad is gonna happen. It's a warning system, pretty much. We have warning systems like that for our behaviors. This might sound weird, but my canary habit is not flossing my teeth. Usually I floss my teeth every single day after I brush my teeth at night. However, when I'm starting to enter a downward spiral, one of the first things to go is this habit of flossing. In other words, as soon as I notice that I haven't been flossing, I realize, got it. I'm entering a downward spiral. I need to change something now. And that's not the only canary habit. Here's some other examples. Letting my room get more and more messy. If I notice that there's clothes on the floor instead of the laundry basket, that's a no-go. Like there's something wrong in my behavior set if I see that happening. So these are all observable. Like literally a third person could be looking at my lived conditions, my behaviors, and they can predict probably better than I can that, hey, this guy is about to enter into a behavioral sink, a downward spiral. That's the value of this. Things like depression or anxiety, you can't see it. And at least for me, I'm pretty good at masking it. No one will know how I feel. And the thing is, that makes it harder for myself to detect and fix as well. So when you mask things for other people, you also tend to mask it for yourself, which is why I rely on observable things like this instead. Then missing gym days. If I miss like 3-4 gym sessions in a row, I know that something needs to change. If I start to eat junk food or just takeout in general, instead of making my own meals, I know that something's amiss. If I see that my, the dishes are piling up, I know that that's not a normal behavior for me. This is not something that usually I let happen. If I'm not replying to people who I actually value, it means something's amiss. And then good habits have been building up, like meditation, start to go away. Hygiene starts to get worse. I'll stop shaving. I just spend way more time on my phone when I'm entering a downward spiral. And then, of course, bad habits as well can come back at this time. And here's the funny thing, is I have gratitude for the canary habits because they are a source of information. If I see any of these habits starting to emerge, as soon as I notice, I'm warned. I'm warned that, hey, ahead is danger. And that's what the behavioral sink is. One behavior leads to another behavior leads to another, and before you know it, you're spiraling down the drain. Now, hearing these examples, probably some of them stood out to you. So here's the first action step for today, is I want you to pause the video and comment your canary habit. Why? Because writing it out will make you better at detecting it when it actually happens. The first step to preventing downward spirals is, of course, to detect that you're in one. Now, here's the main question. What do you do once you detect that you're in a downward spiral? So the moment I detect that I'm in a downward spiral, here's exactly what I do, and this is what I recommend. It's kind of like a soft reset. What I'll do is I'll leave all my electronics at home. I'll grab a notebook and a pen, and I'll go outside my home to a coffee shop or literally anything, a library, doesn't matter. And I will sit down there, order a coffee, and I will just spend how much ever time I need to spend there. I'll just write out whatever I'm feeling, whatever is causing me stress. And oftentimes what I feel is kind of a weight is lifted off. What happens is you gain a sense of clarity about what you need to do next. And when you enter the house, you see everything in a new light. You see how messy it's become. You see the dishes piling up in the sink. You see the clothes on the ground. You're like, man, I don't want to live like this. And then you start to fix the things. You start to change your behaviors. So that's the protocol. First detect and then correct. And with that, let's get into the advanced stuff. If there's a good behavior you're not doing, it means that there's too much friction to do it, or there's not enough reward to do it. If there's a bad behavior that you're stuck doing, then there's too little friction to do it, or there's too much reward that you're getting from it. That's pretty much all of human behavior in like 2 slides. This comes down to what's called the TBR behavior model: trigger, behavior, and reward. The way this model is structured is, you can see that the behavior lays upon the foundations of the trigger and the reward. If you want to change the behavior, you got to change the trigger or the reward, or ideally both. To kill a bad behavior, you kill the trigger and the reward. To build a good behavior, you build the trigger and the reward. That's all there is to it. So let me give you an example of how to build a good habit. So identify the behavior. What's the behavior that we want to see happen? For me, one of the behaviors I wanted to have happen was to train my neck consistently. Now, I don't have to tell you the importance of neck training. We have heard it a dozen times on YouTube. So many people have already said that neck training makes you more attractive. But not only this, if you get into a car crash or a fight, something like this, there's an impact on your head. Well, neck training might prevent the injuries which might otherwise debilitate your life. All this to say, neck training is something that I wanted to do. I even purchased a $300 device. It's called the Iron Neck. And I bought this, I just didn't use it. I bought this like years ago. I just didn't use it. It was just sitting in my wardrobe for the longest time without utility. This is crazy, right? I've spent the money, I know that it's important to me, and yet I don't do it. Now you might think, well, I don't have an iron neck, this doesn't apply to me. It does apply to you. Are there habits that you know that you need to be doing or should be doing, but you aren't doing? If so, then this example applies to you. So what I did is I looked at this habit from the point of view of the TBR behavior model, and I realized I didn't have a good trigger. So first thing I did was to fix the trigger. Instead of putting this into my wardrobe where I never see it, I placed it on top of my shoe rack. So every time I had to bend down to grab my shoes to go to the gym, I have to see it. It's completely unmissable. And that's the key point here. A good trigger is completely unmissable. You can't miss it. The second thing is it's specific. If I see this, I know what it means. It means neck training. There's no other connotation or use case for this trigger. The third thing is, how frequent is it? Is it daily? Is it hourly? Is it weekly? In this case, it's almost a daily habit, which is awesome because it gives the trigger multiple times to fire correctly, and that's how it gets programmed into your brain. But fixing the trigger wasn't enough because I would see the iron neck sat upon the shoe rack and avoid it because I know that it causes pain. The construction of the iron neck, it has a cushion on the front and it has a cushion on the back, but doesn't usually come with cushions on the sides. So the problem is, if you are doing a twisting motion, well, it applies force on the side of your skull, and this is hard plastic. So who wants 30, 40, 50 pounds of force on their skull through hard plastic? Like, it's an uncomfortable and painful feeling, and that's what needed to get fixed. So what I did is I cut out some foam packaging material and I taped it to the sides of the iron neck, and now that pain went away, and instead of pain, it became physical satisfaction. The feeling of twisting the neck against force, feeling the neck gets stronger. But not only this, but it feels like a corrective thing. It feels like it corrects the bad behavior of sitting down on your laptop and looking downwards. It corrects all that. It feels actually good. The physical feeling, the sensation of it is good. And that's hugely important because it means it's a reward. It finally felt good to train neck. At that point, it became very easy to be consistent because first, you're reminded of the behavior because of the trigger, and second, you actually want to do the behavior because it's rewarding. So remember what we said earlier. If you're not doing a behavior that you know you should be doing, either there's too much friction to do it, otherwise there's not a good enough trigger, or the reward is insufficient. So fixing the trigger and the reward means that you're more and more likely to do the good behavior. So with that, let's go to the next example, which is how to kill a bad behavior. So again, first we started with identify the behavior. Let's stop scrolling on our phones late into the night and compromising our sleep. And of course, the desired behavior is to go to bed on time. So again, let's unleash the TBR model. So let's see what the triggers are. Well, the trigger is of course your phone itself, but also the apps within the phone. Instagram, YouTube, and for me mainly, it's literally YouTube Studio. So the trigger strength, it's unmissable. If you have these apps on your homepage, every time you check your phone, you literally are forced to look at that app. Is it specific? Yes, it is in fact specific. Each of these app icons lead to, of course, their respective apps. Is it frequent? Multiple times a day, not just hourly, but multiple times within the hour. So this trigger gets a lot of exercise, and that's why it's so strong. So it's a 3 out of 3 trigger, which is why it's so effective. And not only this, let's look at the reward side. What do these apps give us? Instagram gives us a pseudo feeling of status and belonging, because first off, you can check your messages, of course, but not just this. You feel, or at least your brain thinks, that it's getting social reinforcement from Instagram because you see so many people, many attractive people, many successful people doing cool things, and your brain thinks, wow, I'm in a group full of so many successful and charming people that I must be high status. I must have belonging in this group. And that's the source of the craving. Of course, now we all know that it's an illusion, but your brain doesn't know that because it's just not programmed for this kind of thing. Clear progression, not even your progression. You can see the progress of others and the mirror neurons, it fires. And so you feel like you're making progress along with these people, but of course you're not. And of course the progress could be fake as fuck because on social media, you can kind of make up whatever you want and it's hard to do any kind of fact checking. And then the biological, of course, those rewards also exist. They are, I don't need to elaborate on this. There are things that you can watch on Instagram which might trigger you to watch other things. So Instagram causes the firing of multiple reward systems at the same time. It does a fantastic job of giving you the rewards. The rewards are immediate. As soon as you click on the app, you get the reward. It's certain. There's always something for you to watch on Instagram. And then the frequency is, of course, extremely high. So you have a 4 out of 4 reward cycle, which is why, of course, this behavior is hard to kill. But then we already know how to kill a bad behavior, which is to kill a bad behavior, you kill the trigger and you kill the reward. So the first thing you want to do is to remove these apps from your homepage. Just by removing the apps from the homepage, you have made them hidden, not unmissable. So you reduce the trigger strength. They're still specific, of course, but the frequency has dropped in terms of how often you see the trigger. And here's what I do next to get to the next step, is I would buy this device. It's called Brick. I'm not affiliated with them, and there's no, like sponsorship link in the description. This is literally what I use. So when you use this Brick device, and you open up Instagram or any of these apps, by the way, or any websites as well, you can block websites using this. So now when I click on Instagram, this is the screen that I see. Instagram is blocked, your phone is currently bricked, blah, 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 whatever, right? The point is, as soon as you hit that trigger, which is the Instagram app, the reward doesn't fire. There's nothing stimulating on the other side. So the reward has been reduced by a lot. The reward has actually become a kind of punishment. Like, who wants to see this black screen, right? And then the time delay has been moved to the future, because the way the Brick device works is, if the app doesn't open and you want it to open, you gotta literally physically connect your phone, like gotta tap it on that Brick device, and it uses NFC technology to authenticate and open the apps up. So if you place that Brick device all the way in the kitchen, on the fridge, then you have to literally physically get up, walk all the way, unblock your phone, and then access Instagram. So that introduces a time delay on the reward. But as soon as you start introducing friction like this, you might not get the reward. I might start to get up, start to go to the fridge, but do literally something else, and then come back. I'm like, oh, I forgot the reason I got up was to unbrick my phone. So the reward certainty also gets reduced. And then, of course, the frequency. You've already reduced the frequency by removing these apps from the homepage. So the overall reinforcement potential of this behavior set has reduced to 1/4. And that's the reason why I just don't use these distracting apps for days on end. I'll just not touch these apps for like 3, 4 days, 5 days, and not even like it's not an effort thing. It's not a willpower thing. I use similar things for the browser as well. I use cold turkey, which blocks all these distracting sites from your browsers. Firefox, Chrome, Safari, doesn't really matter. All of them have it. I also use something called Unhook. Unhook makes YouTube actually usable again. It removes all the distracting bullshit and only allows the channels that you've subscribed to show up. And I've been using YouTube for like years at this point. So I know what I want to watch. I know which channels are useful and worth my time. And most of them, of course, are not. So I just watch the things which I'm subscribed to. And I think the search function works fine even with the toggle on. So if I'm actively looking for something, if I want to find productivity techniques to research, or if I want to find a book review, I can search for it. Now, the first objection to any of this is, but Carl, I can circumvent these. In other words, you can say that you can get past any of these friction mechanisms. That's true, but that's why it's called defense in depth. So defense in depth is a defensive strategy which militaries across the globe have used, which is you have multiple layers of barriers protecting the inner sanctum. For example, a castle will have 3, 4, 5 different fortification walls before you get to the inner keep. The point is, every single wall adds a layer of defense. It increases the delay between the bad thing happening and you. All we're trying to do with friction is to reduce the frequency of the bad behavior. It's not like one fine day, all your bad behaviors can just go away. You've been training these bad behaviors for years. Instead of wishing for a miracle, instead you build up your defenses. I believe that we are the sum of our behavior sets. And not just this, society is the sum of all our behavior sets. So the destiny of a society is the destiny of the individuals within it, and of course the destiny of the individuals within it come from their behaviors. And I want to share something cool which is happening on YouTube right now. On YouTube Studio, you can see these results, is more and more new viewers are watching the content on this channel, which means that YouTube is actively promoting this message, which is awesome to see. More and more people are liking this. And of course, if you're new, then join the crew. Historically, most people who view my channel end up subscribing. So hit the subscribe button and increase the subscriber count, because there is an incentive for you. When I hit 100,000 subscribers, that triggers a world tour. I will be doing one-day events for free across the globe in all the major cities of the world. And you can attend these for free. I'll teach you about behavior change, and you can troubleshoot some of these things with me live. So at this point in the video, you might be thinking, okay, got it. I want to use this framework and I want to improve my life, but what habit should I be building? Well, let me answer that. The habit that I want everybody on this channel to build right now is plan tomorrow today. I call it PTT, plan tomorrow today. All it is you have a journal, and before you lay down to sleep, you answer this simple question, which is, what 1 to 2 things can I do tomorrow to make my life a little better? It's such a simple prompt, but it allows me to get out any anxiety that I have before I lay down to sleep. So it first improves my sleep, but also improves my strategic thinking overall. So for example, I'll say I need to record, like this is from yesterday as an example, right? I need to record the self-sabotage video, which is what I'm doing right now. And then second thing is prep for the group call, which is something which I'm going to do tomorrow. So the point of the plan tomorrow today is you have clear victory conditions, clear conditions which you're like, okay, that felt like a good day. If you don't have that, you don't know if you had a productive day or not. Honestly, this is such a valuable habit. You'll only understand its true value once you actually start to do it consistently. Because what happens is you find that this habit trickles to everything. It becomes kind of a reward for the day as a whole. So if you live a good day, you've done things which are clearly conducive to your long-term goals, and you sit down and you write those things down, you get a double reward. Like you get doubly rewarded for the hard work that you did, because you've connected the hard work that you did to the bigger goal, which is what you're trying to aim for. It makes the day more valuable. And also it gives you a kind of a boost to get into the next day, because you know the next day is going to be even better because you've already planned out the key things that you need to do. It's a wonderful habit. Please just try this and you'll understand why I'm so enthusiastic about this. So you got to try it. In order to try it, you got to have a trigger and a reward. So what's the trigger? I literally placed this green notebook, which I'm using as a mouse pad, on the table right next to my bed. So I have to see it. It's a bright green color. Like I cannot miss it even if I wanted to. So is the trigger unmissable? Yes, it is. Is it specific? Yes. This notebook is only used for one thing, which is plan tomorrow today. This notebook is not used for literally anything else. And then frequency, daily, right? Every time I sleep, I use this trigger to provoke this action. What's the rewards that I get from this? This is very important for you to understand, so I want to drive this home. First is the personal encouragement. So you can coach yourself. This is called self-coaching. You can write about the good stuff that's happening and kind of hype yourself up for the next day. The source of depression is a feeling that tomorrow is going to be worse than today, and the day after that is going to be worse than the current day. You can switch that in your mind by using a journal to write out those depressive thoughts and seeing that they're not logical and there are things that you can do to improve your situation. The next reward is clear progression. So the second you open up the notebook, you see the plan tomorrow today from the previous day, and you can assess whether you lived your life according to the plan or not. And finally, and I think this is actually the most important part, is the physical satisfaction. If you have a good pen and good paper, you'll enjoy the sensation of writing. The actual physical sensation of writing is in and of itself rewarding. Even if you got none of the other rewards, like the planning aspect or the self-satisfaction aspect, none of that, the physical sensation of using a good quality pen on paper in and of itself is rewarding. Now you gotta get a good pen, and this is the pen which I suggest, which is the Uniball Onyx. I don't know what's special about it, but this is the pen which I love to write with. And the good thing about the physical sensation aspect of the reward is that there's no time delay. As you are doing the journaling, you're getting the physical sensation reward of journaling. Is it certain? Yes, it is. Frequency, literally every single day. So it has a high score on reinforcement potential. And not to mention, it allows you to sleep like a baby. So very, very high leverage activity. Please just try this and tell me in the comments if it helped you or not. Now we move to the final part of this video, which is pre-satisfaction. We have discussed the TBR model, but I want to repeat it because it's going to be important for this section. If there's a good behavior and you're not doing, there's too much friction or there's not enough reward. If there's a bad behavior you're stuck doing, and there's too little friction or too much reward. That's the TBR model. We're pretty familiar with it at this point, but we haven't used it in this particular way. To kill a bad behavior, you can kill the trigger, but you can also kill the reward. So how do you kill the reward? So that's called pre-satisfaction. Triggers can't trigger you if you're already satisfied. So I'm going to give you a weird example to drive this home. Imagine that you're laying in bed and you're lonely, and a beautiful woman happens to just walk into your room, and you make passionate love, and it's the best thing ever, and you lay down completely satisfied. At that point, imagine the door opens again, and another woman walks in, just as beautiful as the first one. So it's the same trigger, but your level of desire is going to be slightly less. But hey, you're a man of duty, so you perform, and you give her what she wants, and you're laying down completely satiated. Another woman walks in through the door the same exact way, just as beautiful as the other two. Same trigger the third time. Doesn't work. You don't have that desire same way you had for the first girl, because at that point you've already been satisfied. Now if she comes back 2 days from now, you're going to be fine. But then and there, you don't have the desire anymore. So at this point, there's two questions. The first question is, what's your secret? And the second question is, how does this apply to real life and in practical situations? So let's talk about binge eating. So binge eating is like when you have a strong craving for a certain kind of food and you just cannot stop eating it, it doesn't satisfy you. You can prevent the trigger from being as powerful by pre-satisfaction. If you start your day with a big meal of carrots, bone broth, and coffee, the stomach cavity is already full with low-calorie stuff. So when you have the sensation or urge to eat the junk food, well, that trigger is not going to fire. So you can be exposed to the same triggers, but the behavior won't be as strong because you're already satisfied. And then there's another example which I can give you, which is smoking. That's why nicotine patches and nicotine gum works. If you already have some nicotine in the system, even if you look at a person smoking, you won't feel the same desire to also smoke, because again, you're pre-satisfied. And now I want to do some final insights. Your behaviors aren't a mystery. I don't want you to fall for the complexity illusion. People think that just because it's complex, it's true. That's obviously not the case. People confuse identity and behavior sets, and this causes pain because every setback questions your identity. Identity itself is kind of an illusion, because in the end of the day, our identity comes from what we repeatedly do. And we can't train identity as such, because identity is downstream of behaviors, and it's behaviors that we train instead. And the key word here is train. It's all about training. We don't rise to the occasion, we fall to our training. And that's why I've made this video. It's called How to Train Yourself to Do Literally Anything. That's the companion piece to this video. This video is about how to eliminate bad behaviors, but the behavior ops video is how to build good behaviors. If you watch this, then that's the next video you should watch, because you got from -1 to 0, now you need to go from 0 to 1. So click on the title right now and watch that next.